Hello students, hope you all are doing well. Today we are going to start the unit number 8, very short concepts, and this will be the part 2 of unit number 8. And in unit number 8, part 1 we have discussed nearly 1 to 7 very short concepts, and now we are going to discuss from 8 to 13 very short concepts. And unit number 8 is not going to complete now. One more third part will be there, which is the final part of unit number 8. So as we have total 19 concepts from unit 8, you are going to get any 2 in your board examinations. Now let us start the 8th concepts, that is classical economics. The term here is classical economics. It is a body of economic doctrines which came into effect from later half of 18th century to the earlier part of 20th century. So what do you mean by classical economics and who are classical economists? So between the period of 18th century and 20th century, whatever the economists were there, they are termed as economic doctrines. Fine. From the earlier part of 18th century, or you can say the later half of 18th century to the earlier part of 20th century, means between 18 to 20, this period is called as classical period or the classical economist. The important classism, the important properties of classism are personal liberty. Liberty is nothing but you must get all the freedom and rights. Then freedom of private enterprise. Enterprise means a company or any business. So freedom for private enterprises must be given. Then private property. These are the three classism. These are the three important properties of classism, that is personal liberty, then freedom of private enterprise, then private property. These are the three very important properties of classism. What is classical economics? It is a body of economic doctrines. All the economists are termed as what? Economic doctrines. So classical economists is a body of economic doctrines which came into effect from the later half of 18th century to the earlier part of 20th century, and these are the three important properties of classism. The next one is money market equilibrium. Equilibrium means to be stable and balanced. So money market equilibrium is also known as saving invest equilibrium. The another name is saving invest equilibrium. When the consumer saves some income, and spend it on capital goods, it is called as investment. Whenever a consumer saves some money and it spends it on capital goods, then that is termed as investment. So we are saving and it is also known as investment. Because of this reason, the name is saving invest equilibrium. And if you want to bring equilibrium between savings and between investment, you can do it with flexibility interest. Means by changing the interest, you can make the savings and investment in a balanced position. So how can we make savings and investment in a balanced position? By interest. The another name for money market equilibrium is saving invest equilibrium. The next concept is functioning of market mechanism. That means how a market will function. Let us see. It is a tendency of demand and supply to be in balance in a free market. That means the demand as well as the supply must be balanced in a market. Then there exists no high demand and no high supply. how the demand and supply should be balanced in market? In such a way that there should not be high demand or high supply. It must be in a balanced position in a free market, and it will adjust unsuitability in the market without the interference of government. Means whenever a market is functioning in an economy, government will not interfere in that. It only adjusts everything in the market. The main forces of the market is demand and supply. These demand and supply must be in a balance in the economy. Fine. In such a way that the demand and supply should not be high, they must be balanced. The next one is aggregate demand function. So before starting this, there are two terms, that is aggregate demand and aggregate supply. There are two terms, aggregate demand price, aggregate supply price. These both have some relation between level of employment. Means how much aggregate demand price will be there, that much of level of employment will be there. In the same manner, you just see here also relationship between aggregate supply price and level of employment. So whenever aggregate supply price will increase, level of employment will also increase. Aggregate means total. If the total demand is high, level of employment will also be high. If the total supply is high, the level of employment will also be high. In short, aggregate demand price is having a relationship between level of employment. Same way, aggregate supply price is having relationship between level of employment. If supply will increase, automatically the employment will also increase. If demand will increase, automatically level of employment will also increase. Now what do you mean by aggregate supply price? It is the minimum overall income that an entrepreneur must receive. Entrepreneur is a person who starts his own business. All the profits and all the losses belongs to him. So whatever the income an entrepreneur must receive, that is called as aggregate supply price. The last one, budget. What do you mean by a budget? It is an annual statement. Annual means every year you are going to present the budget. So what is a budget? It is an annual statement in which the government estimated receipts and expenditure are mentioned during a financial year. That means receipts in the sense incomes. Expenditure means the money is going. So from where the government is receiving money and where the government is spending money in a financial year, that will be presented as a statement. That will be presented as a statement by whom? By the finance minister. And through this budget, whatever the budget the finance minister is preparing, in which it is including the receipts and expenditure, that budget is helpful for making policies and programs, So this unit number 8 part 2 is completed. Next part 3 will be having remaining very short concepts. So I hope you have understood it. Please write it for 5 times and learn it at least for 10 times. See you in my next class. Till that, stay home, stay safe and always keep practicing.